Hey everybody, this is Kyle Strahm, the co-creator of Twig from Image Comics, and I'm here with the brothers Boyd.
Hey guys, Josh here from the Brothers Boyd. I've got Chris with me tonight. Daniel was not able to join us, but we have a special guest down below. We have Mr. Kyle Strahm, the artist for Twig, and he's going to talk to us tonight about his book. Kyle, what can you tell us about Twig?
Well, first, thanks for having me. So Twig is a 5-issue miniseries from Image Comics. I did the art. I co-created it with Scotty Young, who wrote the book. Colored by Jean-Francois Beaulieu, and Nate Piekos did the lettering. But really, Scotty and I really wanted to do something that felt like all the stuff we liked when we were kids, like the weird animated movies and like the weird Jim Henson stuff, the kinds of fantasy stories that we watched when we were kids, but maybe they were a little too dark and creepy and we shouldn't have been watching them, but that's what kids stuff was like back then, stuff like the Never Ending Story and the Dark Crystal. So it was kind of a departure for me because I usually do horror comics, but I've always been into that stuff and just as interested in that kind of stuff. So it was a really easy pivot for me to do this weird fantasy.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's kind of what pulled me in when I saw it in previews. I saw the whole Dark Crystal comparison, and you had me right there because that's what I grew up watching, man. I love stuff. Still do.
Yeah, it's funny when we reviewed this comic earlier, we did a quick review where we covered all 5 books, and I told Josh and Daniel both as we were reviewing, it had that feel of like Dark Crystal or Labyrinth or something like that, and that's the stuff we kind of grew up on too, and what we really liked. I know for me, when I started reading the first one, the artwork just really grabbed me. It's some beautiful artwork done in there as well. And just kudos to you for the artwork, because I love how beautiful the whole book turned out all the way across all 5 issues.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, and huge props to Jean for the color as well. He really nailed it over and over and over.
Absolutely.
He made it pop, that's for sure. I mean, excuse me, all those double page spreads throughout the book, man, I really enjoyed those. I think one of my favorites is that when you first get to that mountain and you see that spread, that's just really cool looking. It's definitely something from the 80s.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like we always like that. We like the rock biter in the Never Ending Story, and when you like climb, the big turtle is behind.
Absolutely.
Massive stuff.
Absolutely. So what was it like working with Scotty on this? Was it pretty fun? I'm sure it was.
Oh yeah, it's the most fun I've had on any book. Scotty is he's really creative, but the great thing about working with him is he's really open to changing everything if we need to. Like, he doesn't get stuck in these if I suggest something, he's really open to change it, but he's also really open to just if he comes up with a better idea, he'll be like, wait, what about this? Let's throw out that stuff. And what about this? And he and I would get together, and we used to share a studio when we were coming up with the idea, and we'd just go down the street and get some lunch, and we just throw ideas back and forth. And we were always coming up with new stuff and changing what we had. So it's a lot of fun. And Scotty also, because he's an artist, he's used to working with writers, and he's worked with a lot of writers, and he's had all of the good experiences and the bad experiences that come with that. So he's really tuned into how to be a great writer to work with. So he doesn't, some artists who are writers might, like, the possibility exists that they would try to impose their artistic ideas onto something, but really he's just like, hands off, it's your thing, Kyle. So the way you want it to look is how it's going to look, which is awesome.
That is very awesome. Yeah, I found like reading Scotty's like I've been reading Strange Academy. His writing style is just so good, on top of the fact that he is a great artist as well. So,
Yeah.
So
that is so.
Out of all your books you've drawn, what's your favorite book to draw?
Oh, well, Twig's definitely my favorite to draw, because there's so much room for me to just do what I want. Those, like, a lot of the times there are those pages where Twig is traveling through 6 panels or however many, and Scotty will be like, "All right, we're going through like 6 more lands," and I'm like, "Yes, awesome!"
Awesome.
Just lots of fun to just do whatever I want to do in those parts. And Scotty and I, when we were working at the beginning, we had lots and lots of conversations about how things should feel, what the tone of the book should be. And by the time we got to issue 5, he and I had been working together on all those other issues, along with Jean. And Jean brings uh, this whole new level of storytelling to it. Like, there's stuff that I never would have thought to do in issue 1 that I was confident we could do in issue 5, because I was like, well, Jean can do that. Like, it doesn't need to be nailed in the inks right here, because Jean can do that. And the same existed with the script in issue 5, where Scotty's just like, so they go here, I don't know what that is, whatever, but we trust each other in that way. And so in issue 5, I'd be like, okay, well, I'll flesh that out. And it was a lot of fun. And it's also, he and I also talk a lot about comics should be fun. Like, we want comics to be fun. And a lot of the time they're not. They're really serious. And there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. There are a lot of great dramatic comic books, but the stuff that we fell in love with when we were kids, it was just off the wall, fun stuff.
Yeah,
Right. It's like our escape. It's our escape from reality for a little while, where we can get away from what's going on in the world and just enjoy something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was gonna say, with all those little panels you did with all the different areas he was traveling through, I saw hundreds of different stories you could tell just by taking one of those panels. Explain what that realm was like.
And I've talked about it before, but when I was a kid, when we were kids, and there were only 3 Star Wars movies, you'd watch those Star Wars movies and you'd be like, what is that thing? Like, that creature. Now you can read about it all on Wikipedia, but back then, like, your imagination could fill that in. And that's kind of the vibe I wanted to have in Twig. And like, lots of sci-fi stuff is like that, and I really like that feeling.
So now I know Twig has been out for a while now, as far as the 5 issues. What is the vibe that you've been getting? Is there a lot of positive vibe about the book itself? Have you been hearing really great things, or have what are you hearing as far as what's going on with the book?
Well, the reaction is great. We never expected the reaction we got. Scotty and I mean, we did a thing that there isn't much out there like that. And we were like, well, we'll like it, and maybe some other people will like it. But it really resonated with a lot of people, and it's been overwhelmingly positive. Of course, there are people who don't like it, who it's just not their thing. And I think anytime there's something popular, there are detractors who just, they're the antithesis of that. But no, everybody I've talked to has responded great, and it's really exciting. Like I said, it was unexpected, but very welcome. And I've worked on other books, of course, but I've never worked on a book where people were like, what's going to happen in issue 5? Like, before it came out, like, people were talking about it, so that's cool. It's fun.
Yeah, we were like eagerly anticipating the next book every time it would come out. We would be at the shop going, okay, is it this week? Is it this week? Yes. So as you can see behind us, I got all 5, and Josh has all 5 behind him as well. So
I got all 5 too.
Yeah, you go. and you probably have the collected edition as well. So let's talk about that. The collected edition came out this week. So if you missed those first 5.
Here it is. It came out Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's really crazy to look through it, and I don't know, other people might be different, but I'm working on these for hours, and I'm watching whatever shows I've seen 100 times or TV shows. And so I can be like, oh, I know what I was watching when I drew that. It's kind of funny. But yeah, it's very exciting to see it all in one big chunk.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for it being in a collected edition, because I wouldn't take my 5 floppies into the classroom, but I'm probably going to buy a trade to go on my bookshelf for my 6th graders.
Awesome.
It's a great looking book and something they would enjoy.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I really like having done something that anybody can look at, and the reactions from kids and young people have been amazing, because while we can all like watch movies and stuff and read books and enjoy them, like I've seen kids, the reaction is so much more enveloping, like one kid, somebody told me their kid like would sleep with their copy of Twig. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool. That is very cool.
He really is a great character, and you're rooting for him the whole time. I mean,
Yeah.
you did not just in the story, but in the artwork and the coloring, like you said, you made him this character that we really enjoyed and we really liked reading about. We want more.
Well, thank you. Well, there will be more. We're working on more. I don't know when. I don't know
That's
when.
Very exciting.
But we're working on it. And it's all. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't know what I was gonna say.
Okay. If you could pick one of the characters out of there other than Twig to kind of do a side story with, who would it be?
Well, I really like the mushroom mushroom hat character, which is really a design more than a character at this point. Yeah, I mean, I also like the Nectarmancer, the spooky guy, but he's both of those characters take forever to draw. So taking that into account, I would want it to be a shorter story.
You do a one shot.
Yeah, but I like Splat, and I think it would be fun to do something with just Splat too, because he's fun, and he was a fun character to discover how to draw throughout it, because there are a couple of panels in issue 1 or 2 where he starts to be stretchy, where something unlocked in my head, and I was like, oh, he can stretch all over the place. So by issue 5, he was always all over.
Yeah. Very cool. I love Splat. I thought he was a great character, and it was almost like he felt like the Jiminy Cricket to Pinocchio to Twig, as he, except he was much ruder. So maybe Jiminy Cricket and Tinkerbell mixed, So, but really just a great character development and just great characters. Now, I know you have done other stuff before. You said you did horror stuff. I will tell you, last night I sat down and read issue 1 of Unearth, and I loved it. I thought it was a great story. I can't wait to read the next one. I can't believe I waited this long to read it. But I really enjoyed it. As far as projects outside of Twig, what have you got going on right now that you can kind of share?
So I just had another graphic novel come out from Dark Horse, and this one I wrote. It's called Into Radness, and a guy named Jake Smith drew this one. And this one, both of these projects, both Into Radness and Twig, we started before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, everything was in chaos, and nobody in comics really knew if their books were going to continue or not. And both of those luckily did. But we finally finished Into Radness, and it came out. And that one's about some kids who have a YouTube show that nobody cares about. And they want to be famous, but they accidentally film themselves like fighting this weird alien that shows up, and they become superstars. And it's about them dealing with what that does to their relationships while also fighting more weird aliens. But it's like, how in the Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s and 90s, there'd be like kids, they live in like an awesome clubhouse. How did they get that? Who knows? It doesn't matter. But it's I really enjoy all that stuff, the 80s and 90s cartoons and Nickelodeon, and that's what this is a love letter to, as people say, it is a love letter to the 80s and 90s. But that's from Dark Horse, and you can get it on my website, or you can get it anywhere they sell comics.
Awesome. I'll have to look into that one because that one sounds really good.
Thank you.
Being a child of the 80s, that just speaks to me anyway. So I would be right there. So I just need a bowl of cereal to have in with me while I'm reading it.
Yeah.
So,
and I did also, because Scotty's new book, I Hate Fairyland, comes out. I don't know when this will broadcast, but it comes out Wednesday. So, and I did a cover for that. I did it's my first ever shop exclusive. So my shop is kylestrahm.com, and I drew a cover you can only get there, but here's what that looks like. I just got them.
Awesome.
There it is.
I have to order one.
Yeah, we're very excited about that book. Have you so I'm assuming you just got it, so you've read it. Is it good?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, and
awesome.
Brett Bean did the art in this, and he's awesome. And of course, Scotty wrote it. It's very funny. And John colored this as well.
Nice.
Who colored Twig. But my cover is colored by John Roush, not John.
Very cool. Very cool. So we go to kylestrahm.com to pick that one up, correct?
Yep, that's where it is.
All right.
Awesome.
I will plug that on the bottom of the screen.
Yep. Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. So when you started, I know I kind of look back, you did a lot of cover work. Is that kind of how you got your start, doing just covers? Or
so I did a book called Spread at Image.
Okay.
I mean, I got my start by making my own little comics and then going to comic book conventions. And what I always tell everybody if they want to do comics is do that and go around and show everybody. And while you're learning, while they're giving you feedback, what you're unbeknownst, you don't know that you're also networking. Like if you just keep showing up, all these guys start to think of you as that scrappy kid that's always coming around with new comics. And as soon as you're good enough, they'll throw you a bone. And that's what happened to me. So I did some pinups and I did some small stories in the back of stuff. And eventually I did Haunt, that Tom McFarlane book. I did a fill-in issue of that. And eventually I did Spread, my first Image book. And then after I stopped doing Spread, then that's when I started doing all those covers. I was like, I just want to do covers for a while. And so for a while, all I did was that. And it was just as much work to get the work as it was to do the work, because you had to, I don't know, I had a list of all these editors, and at the first of every month, I'd be like, what do you need this month? What do you need this month? And I'm glad I did it. It's kind of exhausting, so I'm glad I'm not doing it now. But it was fun. And then,
so your favorite Marvel and DC character to draw a cover on?
Ooh, to draw a cover on?
Yeah.
Man. You know what? I was thinking about that. Of course, everybody wants to work on Batman, but I want to do Batmite.
Batmite would be fun.
Yes.
I was just looking at, because tragically Kevin O'Neill passed away, and I was just looking at what was it called? It was called Mightfall that he drew back in the 90s. But that would be really fun. And I might just do one. I might just do a piece just to see what it looks like. And for Marvel, I don't know. For a long time, I wanted to draw a comic just about that spider doppelganger. Does it have 4 arms? You know which one I'm talking about? Or 6 arms.
6 arms.
I don't know. I like Warlock, the Bill Sienkiewicz, the New Mutants guy. He was all crazy. He's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure there are others that I have not thought of that I would really enjoy drawing.
Nice, cool. Josh, you got some more? You got a question?
Well, we talked about your next project. We talked about characters. We've talked about, drawing. You told us how you got in there. More Twig, definitely. We want to see more of that. What other books? I know you said Into Radness and Twig, but if say we had some other viewers who were more adult, what other books should they pick up by you?
So Unearth, that you mentioned previously, that's a book I co-wrote with Cullen Bunn. and an awesome artist named Baldemar Rivas, who's a good friend of mine. He did the art. He drew it and he colored it. His art is beautiful. So the stuff that happens in Unearth is gross, but it looks beautiful while it's gross.
It's
but
beautifully gross.
Yeah. And well, Unearth is the same story with the other two. We started it before the pandemic, and then it all was in chaos in the middle, and then we got to finish it. But it's about some it's sci-fi horror. It's about some scientists who are investigating this weird disease in Mexico, and they track it into these caves, and the deeper they go, the weirder things become. And body horror, weird mystery, cool, beautiful art, and it was a lot of fun to work on. And then Baldemar, after he finished that, he went and drew Robins at DC, and right now he's drawing DC Mech, which is about big robot.
I'm reading that. Love that.
Oh, yeah?
Great book.
Yeah.
Yes. So Kyle, where are you going to be next? Where can people come see you? So
I'm going to be in Parker, Colorado this weekend, which is the 17th, I think. Is it the 17th? Well, but at Hall of Justice Comics, they're having an anniversary event, and I will be there signing. And that'll be my last event of the show, or of the year. And next year I'll be at Planet Comic-Con early in the spring in Kansas City, Missouri, which is where I live. And you can always come see me. However, I just got a Whatnot. I signed up for Whatnot to do some live drawing on there. And I haven't done it before. I'm going to try it out, see how it goes. But I'm Kyle Strahm on Whatnot. But to keep in touch with me, I always point people to my newsletter, because that's what I give everybody the scoop early on my newsletter, which you can sign up for at kylestrahm.com. Awesome.
Awesome. And guys, we appreciate you being with us here tonight, Kyle. We will be in a couple of places. We'll plug those on our next video, but we have enjoyed talking to you tonight, and we will see you at the shop.